Assalamu alaikum grade 9s. Today we are going to go a bit more into detail with what resistors are. Okay? Now in the previous lesson, I told you that resistance is the ability of a substance to reduce the flow of electric current. That means that as resistance increases, the current will decrease. Okay? And we also discussed that resistors are small electronic components that are used to reduce the flow of current in all electric circuits. Okay, let's look at the types of resistors that we get now. So we are just going to discuss quickly a variable resistor, a rheostat, and a thermistor. Okay? A variable resistor or rheostat can be adjusted to give different amounts of resistance. The volume control on a radio uses a variable resistor to change the amount of current. That is how we get a high and low volumes. Okay, so when the resistor is adjusted to allow more current through it, the volume will increase. When it is adjusted to allow less current into it, the resistance will decrease and the volume will be lower. This varies the amount of electrical energy that is converted into sound energy. Okay, so remember that the more current, the higher the volume and the more electrical energy flowing through the circuit. Then we have a thermistor. A thermistor is a heat-sensitive resistor. Its resistance falls as the temperature rises and rises as the temperature falls. Thermistors are used in some fire alarms to sense an increase in temperature. Okay, let's look at what a resistor is. Resistors are electronic components that oppose the flow of current. That means that they go against it. On Friday's lesson, we are going to learn about the different colors that we find on the resistors. Here are some examples of resistors. However, resistors are not only things that resist the current in a circuit. A lamp does not look like a resistor, but it offers resistance, so it can be called a resistor. Even though a buzzer in a circuit offers only very little resistance, it is also a resistor in a circuit. Now, other components in a circuit also offer resistance, and that could be sometimes the wires as well. Okay? So other components also offer resistance. Okay, so they can also be known as resistors. How do resistors work? Resistors oppose the flow of current in circuits. When current flows and resistance oppose the current, the resistor gets warm. If a resistor heats up, it is doing its work. Okay, so that is how you know a resistor is working. Is that when current flows through it, it gets warm. Okay. Now let's look at an example. If we replace the lamps in the circuits shown in the figures below with resistors that have the same resistance as the lamps, we will get similar readings on an ammeter. But instead of the lamps going, the resistors will get hot. So as you can see in this circuit here, just like the one in the previous example with the lamps, okay, instead of lamps, resistors have been put. And if they offer the same resistance as the bulbs in the previous example, if we connect an ammeter to these circuits, we will get this similar readings. Okay, remember, an ammeter is used to measure current. Okay, how do we use resistors? We use resistors to control the current in a circuit. Resistors also protect other components in circuits from the effects of large currents. So resistors control the current in a circuit. So for example, if you don't want too much of current to be flowing to a specific component, you can put a resistor in place, and what the resistor will do is it will reduce the current so that not a lot of current is flowing to a component. So you can control how much of current you want in a circuit depending on the resistor. They also protect other components in circuits from effects of large currents. So sometimes a component may not be able to work properly with a lot of resistance, and it may break if too much or explode if too much current flows through it. A resistor can prevent so much of current from flowing through that component, so it protects that component anyway. Okay, right, I hope you guys understand. If you don't understand, let me know. Assalamu alaikum.